The night my son called me senile, I didn't cry. I just set down my fork, straightened my napkin, and let the insult hang in the air like smoke. Mom, Caleb said with that smug patience men use when they think they're the smartest person in the room, we're just worried you're forgetting things, leaving bills unpaid. Maybe it's time we help manage your finances. I looked at him, my only child, sitting in my dining room eating off plates I'd bought 20 years before he could afford his first apartment. His wife, Amber, sat across from him, pretending to sip her wine while hiding a smile. I haven't forgotten a single bill, I said softly. I've paid yours, your car, your tuition, your wedding, and your damn down payment. The only thing I forgot was teaching you manners. Amber coughed, setting down her glass. Evelyn, it's not about disrespect. We just think you might need a little oversight. Oversight? I repeated. Or control. Caleb's voice sharpened. Mom, don't start. We talked to the lawyer. I froze. You talked to a lawyer? About what? He shrugged, casual. About setting up power of attorney. It's just a precaution, so if anything happens, I'm still breathing, I cut in. And as long as I am, no one signs for me. Amber reached across the table, placing her hand over his. Honey, she's upset. We'll handle it later. I smiled tightly. You won't handle anything later. The air went thin. Caleb pushed back his chair, scraping hardwood. Mom, you're overreacting. We're just trying to help. By calling me senile, I asked? By planning to steal what your father and I built? His face twisted. You see? This paranoia is exactly what I mean. I stared at him for a long moment, then said quietly, You've mistaken silence for weakness, Caleb, but I've kept ledgers longer than you've been alive, and the numbers never lie. He laughed, half nervous. Mom, what are you even talking about? I stood, folded my napkin, and said evenly, You'll find out, sooner than you think. That night, as they left, I heard Amber whisper in the doorway, She won't even remember this conversation tomorrow. I smiled in the dark. Oh, I'll remember, darling, I murmured to the empty room, and I'll make sure everyone else does too. The next morning, a man in a blazer knocked on my door holding a clipboard. Mrs. Carter, he said, I'm here to confirm transfer of power of attorney to your son, Caleb Carter. I blinked once, slowly. Excuse me? He adjusted his glasses. Your son submitted documents yesterday. You're required to sign final confirmation. I let him step onto the porch just long enough to see the fury in my eyes. You tell my son, I said evenly, that he'll need more than forged papers and good posture to steal from me. I closed the door so softly it was louder than a slam. That's when I checked my desk drawer. The folder where I kept my accounts was missing. The one labeled Retirement Fund, Evelyn C. My throat went dry. Caleb had the only spare key. I didn't call him, I didn't scream. I brewed a pot of coffee, sat down with my ledger, and started listing every transfer, every password, every account I'd opened since 1985. My mind wasn't slipping, it was sharper than ever. By afternoon, I visited the bank. The clerk pulled up my records, frowning. Ma'am, it shows your accounts were consolidated under a new family trust yesterday. Signatures look, well, off. Print them, I said, every page. When I left the bank, I wasn't crying. I was calculating. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from Caleb. Don't panic, Mom. Everything's legal. We just streamlined things. I typed back. Good, keep it neat. I'll be auditing you soon. Caleb and Amber arrived the next morning uninvited, waltzing in like landlords. Mom, Amber said sweetly, we need to talk about your living situation. My what? Caleb laid out a pamphlet on the table. Sunny Glen Assisted Living. It's safer, less stress. I stared at the brochure, staged smiles, fake sunshine. So you're sending me away to make room for your stress-free life? Amber folded her arms. You'll have nurses, activities, friends. I already have those, I said. They just don't call me crazy yet. Caleb sighed dramatically. Mom, stop being difficult. You can't live alone forever. We'll sell the house, put the proceeds into the trust. My trust? He hesitated. Our family's trust. It's all paperwork. You'll still benefit. I leaned forward, my voice cold. Caleb, you think because I'm old, I'm blind, but I see everything. You forged my signature, you transferred my accounts, and you think I won't notice? His jaw tightened. Mom, you're confused. You've been forgetting. Try me. I opened my notebook and began listing. Account 4762, opened June 1999. Transfer to C. Carter Holdings, $32,000, yesterday unauthorized. Routing number ending 1189. Still think I'm forgetting? Amber went pale. Caleb's mouth opened, then closed. Where did you get that information? I built your future, boy, I said, my tone turning to steel. I know every number that ever passed through your hands. 2 days later, I came home from the grocery store to find my locks changed. The front door was warm from the sun, but my own key didn't fit. A note was taped to the window. For your safety, Mom, we'll bring your things once you've settled into Sunny Glen. I stood on the porch, groceries slipping from my arms. Eggs shattered on the step. My neighbor, June, peeked over her fence. Evelyn, what on earth? I smiled through clenched teeth. Apparently, I've been evicted from my own life. June gasped. He can't do that. Oh, he can, I said bitterly. He just doesn't know who he's dealing with. I slept that night in my car, parked across from my own mailbox. The house lights came on around 9. Amber stood in the kitchen, sipping wine, laughing. Caleb walked past her, wearing my late husband's robe. That broke something clean inside me. The next morning, I went to City Records. The clerk, a young woman with tired eyes, looked up my address and frowned. Ma'am, it shows ownership transferred 2 weeks ago. To whom? She hesitated. Carter Holdings, LLC, registered to Caleb Carter. And who notarized it? She pulled up the digital copy. A guy named Vince Callahan. I smiled grimly. I taught Vince's mother how to balance a ledger 30 years ago. By noon, I was sitting in Vince's office, arms crossed. You forged that signature, Vince? He looked terrified. I didn't, Mrs. Carter. Caleb came in with documents already signed. Said you were hospitalized. Did you verify with me directly? He shook his head. No. He said you were recovering. Recovering? I said softly. Good, because I'm about to recover everything. Mini cliffhanger. As I left his office, my phone pinged with a new voicemail. Caleb's voice, smooth but cold. If you go around town embarrassing me again, Mom, I'll make sure no one believes a word you say. I smiled. Oh, they'll believe me, son, because next time I won't be talking. The evidence will. I spent that night parked 2 blocks away, inside the car I'd paid off before Caleb learned to drive. Rain streaked the windshield, warping the glow of my own house across the street. My house, the one he'd stolen with a printer and a pen. Through the window, I could see silhouettes moving inside. Amber was arranging flowers in my vase. Caleb's voice floated faintly through the crack in the window. Laughter. Deep, careless laughter. The humiliation burned hotter than grief. I had spent 40 years keeping this family solvent through recessions, funerals, and a husband's medical bills. Now my son was living in my home, spending my retirement on imported whiskey. When dawn broke, I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. Eyes swollen, hair tangled, heart steady. The world thought I was an old woman slipping away. Good, let them. Because no one notices the quiet accountant while she's doing her math. By sunrise, I made a call to an old friend, Harold Denton, former state auditor. He answered on the second ring. Evelyn Carter, he said. Haven't heard that voice since you caught that crooked treasurer in 03. What's wrong? My son forged my power of attorney, changed the deed, and called me senile, I said flatly. Silence, then a sharp exhale. Tell me you kept records. Harold, I've got ledgers. He chuckled darkly. Then let's give him the audit of his life. That afternoon, I walked into the public library carrying 3 boxes labeled receipts, ledgers, and transfers. The same boxes Caleb used to climb on as a boy to reach the cookie jar. I spread them out across a long oak table under the humming fluorescent lights. Harold met me there, adjusting his glasses. You never throw anything away, do you? Only people who deserve it. We went line by line through decades of records, every withdrawal Caleb had made on my behalf. Every account streamlined into Carter Holdings, LLC. Harold tapped a pen. You know, if we prove intent, this isn't just forgery. It's felony exploitation. Then we prove it. We traced digital signatures, date mismatches, even the forged notary stamp Vince accidentally reused on another client's file. The chain was airtight. By evening, Harold slid a stack of papers toward me. Here's your case file. You could walk this into a courthouse tomorrow and they'd open an investigation. I looked at the folder, my name typed bold at the top, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not yet, I said. I want him to see it before the judge does. Harold raised an eyebrow. Evelyn, what are you planning? Something public, something permanent. The next 3 days, I prepared like it was tax season in hell. I called June next door. I'm hosting a small neighborhood gathering Friday night. You still have that projector your grandson uses? Of course, she said cheerfully. Movie night? Something like that, I said. I'll bring the popcorn, you bring the crowd. Then I called the local news tip line under a false name. You might want to cover a senior rights story this weekend, live evidence, financial fraud. Finally, I emailed Harold and Mia, my granddaughter studying journalism. Friday, 7 p.m. backyard. Bring the file, bring the flash drive, bring witnesses. By Friday, my yard looked festive. String lights, folding chairs, tables of snacks. Everyone thought it was a cheerful get-together. Caleb and Amber showed up last, late as always. Mom, Caleb said suspiciously, what's this? Just a little gathering, I said sweetly. Since you said I'm lonely and losing memory, I wanted to see everyone before I forget their names. Laughter rippled politely. Caleb forced a smile. Then I nodded to Mia. The projector flickered to life. The first image was a scanned document, my forged signature on the deed. Then came the bank transfers. Caleb's voice from the voicemail saying, I'll make sure no one believes her. Gasps spread through the yard. Amber's face drained of color. Caleb stepped forward, furious. Mom, what the hell is this? I met his glare without blinking. It's movie night, dear, starring you, the man who called his mother senile while robbing her blind. As the crowd murmured, blue lights appeared down the street, police cars slowing to a stop. Harold's voice was calm beside me. You said you wanted witnesses, Evelyn. Looks like you're about to have plenty. The officers walked up the driveway just as the projector replayed Caleb's voicemail again. If you go around town embarrassing me, Mom, I'll make sure no one believes you. The crowd turned, a hush falling over the night air. Amber clutched her wine glass like it could protect her. Caleb's face was red, a pulsing mix of fury and panic. Mrs. Carter? One of the officers asked politely. We received a report of potential elder fraud. Are you the complainant? I smiled. No, officer. I'm the accountant. Harold handed them the binder, thick with dates, receipts, and notarized statements. Everything you need's in there. Chain of custody verified. Caleb stepped forward. This is insane. She's confused. These are private family matters. The younger cop flipped through the first few pages, then looked up, unimpressed. Private or not, forging a power of attorney is a felony. Amber's voice trembled. He said it was legal. Quiet, Caleb snapped. I took a step toward him. No, let her talk. I think she's just starting to remember. Amber backed away, tears spilling. He told me it was temporary, just to protect you. He said you were losing it. Did I seem lost when I built this house? I asked coldly. When I paid your wedding down to the last fork? The neighbors stared, whispering. One muttered, good for her. Caleb turned to the officers, desperate. She's setting me up. She's manipulating everyone. Sir, the senior officer interrupted. We'll sort this at the station. You're coming with us. He tried to twist free, shouting my name, but the click of handcuffs cut through the noise. I raised my glass, the one he'd bought me last Christmas to celebrate retirement. Cheers, son, I said softly, to the woman you thought was losing her mind and just found her power. As the officers led him away, one turned back. Ma'am, we'll need to schedule a statement and property verification Monday morning. I nodded. I'll bring ledgers, flash drives, and my memory, all intact. By Monday, the story had traveled faster than rumor ever could. The local paper ran it on the front page. Retired accountant exposes son in $600,000 elder fraud case. The photo showed me standing outside my home, arms crossed, ledger tucked under one arm. Someone captioned it, she kept the receipts. At the police station, the detectives played the recordings again. The timestamps, the forged deeds, the withdrawals, all aligned perfectly. One officer glanced at me. "Mrs. Carter, how'd you stay so calm through all this?" "Simple," I said. "I don't panic when I have proof." Amber showed up during questioning, face pale, voice shaking. "I want to cooperate," she said. "I can confirm he planned everything. He bragged about moving the funds before she noticed." Detective Monroe nodded. "That'll go a long way." When she turned to me, tears streaking her cheeks, I didn't hug her. I just said quietly, "You could have stopped him sooner." She whispered, "I know." Outside, Harold met me with coffee and a grin. "You've got half the county talking, you realize that?" "I'm not after gossip," I said. "I'm after closure." He held out a thin envelope, legal notice from the probate office. "You've got it. Full reinstatement of deed and assets pending restitution." For the first time in months, I breathed. That evening, I walked back into my house, the one Caleb tried to erase me from. I touched the banister, still smooth under my palm, and whispered, "Home again." Then I opened the living room curtains and looked across the street. Every neighbor who'd whispered "Poor Evelyn" before now gave me small, proud nods. On my doorstep was a thick yellow envelope marked "Private from Caleb." I opened it. Inside, a letter scrawled in his handwriting. "You've ruined my life. I hope you're proud." I folded it once, calmly, and dropped it into the fireplace. "Not proud," I murmured, "just finished." But Caleb wasn't done. 3 days later, a lawyer showed up at my door with a smug smile and a new suit. "Mrs. Carter, I'm representing your son. He's claiming mental distress and undue influence." I almost laughed. "He's claiming I manipulated him?" The man shrugged. "He intends to contest your reinstatement and assert that you framed him out of spite." "Then let him," I said. "I've already invited the news to the hearing." The attorney blinked. "You what?" "Public record, Mr. Miles. Transparency is a lovely disinfectant." Friday morning, the courthouse was packed. Local reporters filled the benches, their cameras humming. Caleb entered in handcuffs, cleaner suit, same arrogance. When the judge called my name, I stood tall, ledger in hand. "Mrs. Carter," he said. "Do you wish to add anything before we proceed?" "Yes, Your Honor," I said, opening the ledger. "This is a 40-year record of honesty, every cent accounted for. My son used my trust to feed his greed, and when I confronted him, he called me senile. Today, I'll let the math speak for me." I handed the clerk my summary. Each illegal withdrawal matched to an exact timestamp, each notarized forgery cross-referenced with Vince's affidavit. The judge flipped through it, then looked at Caleb. "You accused your mother of confusion?" Caleb's voice cracked. She's exaggerating." The judge raised a hand. "I have proof in front of me that you altered her legal documents while she was conscious and competent. That's not exaggeration, that's fraud." Reporters scribbled, cameras flashed. I turned slightly toward Caleb and said clearly, "You wanted control, son?" "Congratulations, the state has it now." As the bailiff let him out again, I caught his glare. Furious, defeated, cornered. I just smiled and whispered, "You taught me to double-check everything, remember?" The hearing adjourned for a brief recess, but I stayed in my seat. The courtroom buzzed with low murmurs. Reporters whispering, papers rustling, Caleb's lawyer pacing like a man who'd realized he was defending a sinking ship. Amber was there too, sitting in the back row, her face a storm of guilt and relief. She caught my eye, stood, and walked up hesitantly. "Mrs. Carter, I need to show you something." She handed me a folder, a printout of text messages between her and Caleb. In them, he bragged, "Once Mom's signature clears, I'll cash the rest through the insurance. She'll never know. You'll thank me when we're living off her pension in Miami." I closed the folder, exhaled slowly. "You kept these?" Amber nodded, eyes wet. "I was scared, but I can't watch him drag you through this anymore." "Then tell the court," I said, "on record." When recess ended, Amber took the stand. Her voice trembled at first, then steadied. She confirmed the texts, the forged transfers, the threats. The prosecutor displayed each message on the screen. The jury didn't need much more. Caleb's lawyer slumped, knowing it was over. Caleb, though, couldn't stop himself. She's lying, he shouted. They're both lying. Mom put her up to this. I turned to him, calm as glass. If you'd spent half as much effort building something honest as you did trying to steal mine, you'd be twice the man you are. He lunged forward. The bailiff restrained him. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Enough! The evidence is overwhelming. The judge looked at me, then at Caleb. I'll deliver my final ruling tomorrow morning. Mrs. Carter, your diligence is remarkable. I only wish more people your age kept such precise records. I smiled faintly. Your Honor, I've learned there's no better weapon than the truth, properly documented. The next morning, sunlight poured through the courthouse windows like a benediction. I stood where I'd stood before, ledger in hand, heart steady. The judge entered, gavel in hand. In the matter of Carter versus Carter, he began. This court finds that the defendant, Caleb Carter, did knowingly and willfully commit financial fraud, forgery, and elder exploitation. He paused, looking directly at my son. You betrayed your mother's trust for profit. For that, you are sentenced to 12 years in state custody and ordered to repay full restitution of $612,000. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Caleb froze, face drained of color. Amber sobbed quietly behind me. Harold squeezed my shoulder, whispering, "Justice served, Evelyn." The judge nodded toward me. Mrs. Carter, you're an example of what vigilance and courage can achieve. You may have been called senile, but clearly you've proven otherwise. I inclined my head. Thank you, Your Honor. I never lost my mind. I just kept my receipts. As they led Caleb away in cuffs, he turned back, eyes wild. You destroyed me, Mom. I met his gaze one last time. No, son, you did that when you forgot who taught you honesty. When the courtroom emptied, I lingered for a moment, watching the sunlight hit the polished wood benches. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't ache. I just felt free. That night, I stood in the doorway of my reclaimed home, the same one he tried to take. The lights were warm again. The room smelled faintly of lavender and dust, like memory, cleaned and kept. I poured a glass of wine, raised it toward Walter's photo on the mantel, and said softly, We raised a son, but I raised myself again. Then I turned off the lights, satisfied. If you've listened this far, thank you. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your own child called you senile to steal everything you built? And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Stories U60 USA, because stories like mine deserve to be heard.